Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video about the pattern. Despite, it being basically late February, we have 9 days left in February. Winter is not done. Unfortunately, it seems as if the early spring won't come early. March may still turn out rather warm, but it looks as if up to at least March, the first week of March, it looks relatively chilly. And it seems like temperatures will be on the chillier side and maybe a little bit more snowier. Now, it's not going to be a huge, cool down. There will be a couple of phases where it's relatively darn chilly, but it won't be a consistently, just bitter temperatures. It's March, so even if it's below average, it's not going to get too often below zero across, Illinois, Indiana. It still will across the upper Midwest. But again, the averages are climbing almost each day now. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, Des Moines, Milwaukee are gaining a degree or two. Not maybe every day, but about every 3 to 4 days we're gaining a degree or two in terms of average. So we're right now at around 37 degrees of average here in Chicago, and we've been seeing below average, and I think we will continue for the next couple of weeks. But after that, it's still too tough for what will happen, as it's been a tough pattern this winter. Consider subscribing, guys, to this channel if you like weather-related content. Notice I haven't been uploading as much. I've been missing out a few days here and there. And the reason for that is, well, because I'm starting to get busy with my gardening channel. Yeah, and if you want to check that out, it's in the description box below. Check it out. Great Lakes Gardening Channel. It's where I put all my gardening videos on, so go into the description. There's a link for it. Click on that link and consider subscribing. I've had videos from the past on it, and I will be very active on it this spring and summer. I'll be recording videos and giving you guys just, garden tours and updates. So if you like gardening, please go check that out. I definitely will be active on that. And let's get into this video. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel as well. As I'm going to be active on this channel as well, but especially starting late July and into August. But up until then, a little bit less activity. Notice if you look into this storm across North Carolina, this storm has been occurring to quite a big extent. I was mentioning it a couple days ago on my videos, and it's been overproducing. The GFS, it was a giant win for the GFS. The GFS was the original model that showed this system across North Carolina, South Carolina, and to Virginia. And again, the other models, like the European, which is usually the favored model, this winter it's been honestly underperforming. And for example, this time around, the GFS was spot on. The snowfall rates are very heavy. There's been already reports of up to 3 inches, and it looks as if the amounts will be exceeding, possibly in some locations, over half a foot of snow. So that's definitely a little bit higher than expected. If you were to look at the higher resolution models, like the HER model, you could see the snow's going to continue for quite some time. It's relatively quick moving, but it's enough to dump up to almost, you could see across those pink locations, upwards 6 inches of snow, and there's been already 2 inches, 3 inches across these locations, so another 2, 3 would make it almost 6 inches. Let's look at Raleigh, North Carolina. This is your local forecast office is Raleigh, but this is Goldsboro, North Carolina. Notice they have 1 to 3 inches tonight, and it gets really cold. It gets down to 27. Tomorrow night, 23, and their average should be around the 50s, almost 60 this time of the year. You notice that it gets us Tuesday, 67. So this is a stark contrast from what it's been. It's been very warm across those locations this winter, but again, winter hasn't played out the way I predicted it to. But again, a snowstorm definitely sneaked in there anyway, so it's nothing I guess, they haven't seen a larger system in quite a while. While this isn't a beast, this is definitely 3 to 5 inches. That's definitely noteworthy of a larger scale system, and many people are still appreciative of that, as it really, sorry about that. It really does cause, I guess, that kind of clenches at thirst for the heavier snow with this system like this across those locations. You can see they have a snowfall forecast for those locations, and across possibly the coastal areas it could be really heavy snowfall. You notice that this is into Virginia, but areas like I can't really read that, sorry about that, Elizabeth City, Windsor, you could be seeing up to 4 to 6, and there's been a northward trend with these snowfall amounts. So I wouldn't be surprised if like Williamsburg sees maybe 2 to 3 inches instead of 1 to 2. So that's definitely possible. Notice that the 1 in 10 of higher amounts of snowfall we could get higher amounts, so like Windsor, we could be looking at some more significant amounts. Now let's talk about the long range. So let's look at the GFS model and see what it has to say. Okay, in terms of the 2-meter temperature anomalies, and let's just look at the graphic. So notice right now, yes, we are in some pretty darn chilly air across the country. Let's go to the continental United States and let's switch back to the anomaly. I don't know why I did that. Notice we've been in a pretty chilly pattern for quite some time, but again, for the weekend, it looks as if things will warm up. We'll get some warmer air, not a heat wave, however. Pretty warm across the northeast and the eastern United States, but the Midwest really doesn't seem to have, enormously warm temperatures. It's not going to be 60s or 70s. It's going to be 40s, maybe 50s across the interior parts, or, the inner parts of the Midwest, kind of like Illinois, Iowa. Let's go through this. Let's go, say Sunday. Sunday will probably be the warmest day. You can see the GFS is underdoing some of these amounts. I think it'll be a bit warmer than this, but even if it will be, 5 to 10 degrees warmer, it's not going to be extremely warm. 60 across St. Louis, maybe 58, maybe closer to 55. So it's gonna be a warm up, but it's not gonna be a heat wave. I mean, there's been years. I remember 2017 here in Chicago, it got up to 77, and there was literally tornadoes occurring in northern Illinois. So it doesn't seem like that will be any of a threat this time around. It seems in order for warmer temperatures to occur, we'll have to wait just a tad longer. Across the south, though, look, I mean, this weekend where this snowstorm is occurring right now, we could be saying 60, 70. So that's the south for you. I mean, you could be literally in an Arctic blast event. You could see a snowstorm, and a couple days later, it could be a huge warm-up. Notice that the cold air definitely starts funneling in towards the end of next week yet again, and that increases the chance for more cold and snow. So if we were to time this out, notice that the intrusion occurs late next week. Okay, this is basically early March at this point. The last days of February, and you can see that it gets pretty darn chilly, especially for late February, March standards. It gets down to single digits across the north. 30s, possibly down as far south as the Florida Panhandle, and the growing season is way underway there. Late February, it should be. They're planning. Maybe not well underway, but it's definitely getting there. Especially when, it's been a pretty warm year. You could see that this cold air doesn't stick along for too long, but you could see it does make these comebacks throughout the weekend. Next weekend looks much chillier than this upcoming weekend. But look, we start seeing some warmer temperatures possibly making their way into the Ohio Valley. Maybe now you can see 60s, 50s across the plains. So, yes, while it will be a below-average pattern, and you'll see forecasts like this with blue across 8 to 14 days, it does not really seem to be a polar vortex like where, it'll just be brutally cold. Again, the averages are getting warmer. Spring is well on its way, and it just really doesn't seem like we're going to be experiencing some brutal cold air. I mean, the GFS likes to over-exaggerate some things. You can see in this case scenario, across Wednesday, March 4th, it shows a really bitter Arctic shot of basically all negatives you can see across the country, which would be interesting to see as the really warm temperatures are starting to fuel up here, while the northern U.S. is just dealing with these frigid conditions. Look at that. That would be very cold for March standards. We could start seeing some warm-ups later on possibly, and that would be probably well-deserved. You can see by March 7th, Chicago still probably wouldn't have seen its first 60. And usually in March, Chicago sees its first 60 and 70. So I'm referencing Chicago because I know its weather. I'm pretty sure many locations along that latitude would also be pretty similar. Indiana, Ohio, they've been warmer side, but it hasn't been warmed to, wear shorts and short sleeves. And I don't think it will be early March like that as well. And let's look at the anomalies now for you to get a better picture of what's taken apart. You can see that at this point in time it would be above average, but let's take it back a few 100 hours, and let's see. So this is upcoming weekend, you can see warmer air takes place. Then we see a cooler air mass dive into the United States. Nothing extraordinary, but it's definitely on the chillier side. We see some nice warmer air Monday, March 2nd to open up a meteorological spring. You can see 2-meter temperature shaded are relatively warmer, milder, 50, 40, 30, maybe a bit overdone by the GFS in terms of the cold. Let's go back to the temperature anomaly. Sorry, I misclicked. We get a cold pool of air bottling up in Canada, and this is just waiting to come down. And as we look in the future graphics, we could see that it does, and it comes on with some pretty great extent. So yes, this would be relatively chilly, especially across the northeast, the eastern United States, even into the southern U.S., while the west remains relatively warm. And then you can see it spills out. Early March, you can see maybe there's less signs of cooler air. And some warmer temperatures start occurring, which would again be very pleasant, and well received. Especially this winter has been just, I keep saying it, it hasn't been overly cold, but it's just been so miserable. Besides from that, I would prefer if it would be just plain cold and then we see warm temperatures. But at this point, it just looks as if things will just seem. It's just been. Things will remain to be chilly, will remain chillier across the United States, right? But it seems like, I just really want this spring more than I've ever had, I think, as I'm really excited for gardening season, but I'm also really excited. I'm also really bored of this winter. It's been just dreary. It's been these 30s, 40s, snow, rain, and hopefully by early March it will break. But there's no, there's no promises, as this winter has been defying all odds. So that's basically it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I can show you the snowfall amounts, actually, what the GFS puts out across the United States for the next 300 hours, and you can see that it does put out some snow. Again, it's been jumping around. Yesterday it showed some, or a couple of model runs ago, it showed some bigger snow amounts, then it showed some lesser snowfall amounts, like with today's model run. We'll have to wait and see. It's all still in the making. We'll just have to wait and see. So thank you so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.